This is an excerpt from an episode of Tokyo Game Life, a gaming slice of life podcast from Japan. To hear the full episode, subscribe to Tokyo Game Life on your favorite podcast app. Check the description for details. This episode's feature is all about Hard Off, the popular used goods chain in Japan. But I'm not alone. Today we have an expert on all things Hard Off. So, guest, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alex Kraus, and I'm here today because we're talking about Hard Off. Last year, the Hard Off Corporation did a contest where they were seeking out their 100 biggest fans in Japan, and I was selected as one of those fans. So I'm here today as an official fan ambassador of Hard Off.
Thank you for joining me. So let's get right into it. For someone who's never stepped inside, how would you describe Hard Off?
So Hard Off is what Japan calls a recycle shop, which is a secondhand goods shop. And Hard Off in particular specializes in, as the name implies, hardware. They have video games, they have computer stuff, they have musical instruments, they have audio video, they have vinyl records. Some of them have DVDs and CDs. If you're a gadget junkie, the place to go.
So do you remember the first time you visited a Hard Off?
It was probably more than 10 years ago when I was a jet. I probably visited for the first time the one here in Hakodate. It was probably 10 to 12 years ago, my first time.
So what makes you keep wanting to return to the store? What's so special about Hard Off?
So they've got a very high turnover of goods. So every time you go there, there's definitely something new. And I definitely like the surprise element that you don't know what you'll find. It's quite a lot different from visiting a retail store. When you go to a secondhand shop, you literally don't know what you're going to find. Hard Off is also quite famous for their low prices. They get a lot of new inventory very frequently, and the stuff is cheap. If you want to find good treasure, you really have to visit often.
So how does Hard Off compare to stores that specialize in retro games?
I'm going to say price is probably the big factor. I should bring up one of the famous features of Hard Off is their junk corner, which is in the back of the store. So if you go into Hard Off for the first time, make sure you go to the back of the store. There's a section called the junk corner, and this is where all of the untested items, or maybe items with cosmetic flaws, or even some of them might have functional flaws. But this is where you're going to find a really good bargain. Is in the back of the shop in the junk corner. And this is really what makes Hard Off unique from every other store that I visited, is this sort of bargain corner, and everything in the junk corner is sold as is. It's what you see is what you get, but you're probably going to find a really good value. Not many other, even recycle shops in Japan, have this sort of area, in my experience.
Yeah, I often visit the junk corner as well. I think one of the more interesting finds I've seen in the junk corner is just like a huge box of instruction manuals, loose leaf instruction manuals. What's something very odd or interesting that you found in the junk corner?
So often I'll look for things like cheap Game Boy games that are still in the box, or cheap Super Famicom games. And they don't even have to be good games, but if they're 50 yen or 100 yen, I'll grab them and then reuse the plastic trays for nicer quality games. If you're missing plastic trays or inserts, it's a great way to fill those holes in your collection for almost nothing, really.
What are some of the rarest items you found at Hard Off?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'll tell you about a couple of the things that I found fairly recently that got me really excited when I found them. One of them is not video game related, but I was still excited when I found it. So I'll start with that one, is that I found, here in Hakodate, it was a Laserdisc box set of the original run of Twin Peaks. And I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, and it was like 1,000 yen, and it was like a 13-disc Laserdisc box set. This is actually the second time that I've owned this set. I found another set at the same store about 10 years ago, and it was more expensive last time, but it's just a lavish box set that had great artwork, extremely heavy. As a fan, it was a really nice item to find. So yeah, I was really happy to find that item again for a second time, because the first one I sold when I went back to the US. And then another very rare item that I found at Hard Off recently, I think this was back in December, was I found it at Hard Off about a week after I learned that it even existed. It was a special edition of Final Fantasy VIII for the PlayStation that comes with, so you get the game, and then it comes with a memory card holder made by Hori. And so those two come as a set, and then it comes in like a special slipcover that holds both of them. So it's like an extra wide, double wide slipcover. And I think this was exclusive to a retailer, but I don't remember who it was off the top of my head. I had found this out on Twitter because somebody I follow who I think goes by the name of like PSI Hibaihin, and there's somebody who only collects PlayStation 1 not for sale items, which is called Hibaihin in Japanese. And they posted this set, and I'm like, I've never seen that before. And they posted it, and then a week later, I found it at a hobby off store in Sapporo. And maybe this is a good time to note Hardoff runs a bunch of spin off stores as well as Hardoff. They have Off House, which does like interior and clothing. And then they have Hobby Off, which is, as the name suggests, hobby items and toys. And also, Hobby Off does carry retro video games, so it's a great stop if you have one near you for retro stuff. They have some outdoor stores, and they also have some audio. They call it Audio Salon, which is like audio video specialty stores. And then they've got one more. Actually, they've got two more. They've got a Garage Off, which is car stuff, and then there's Liquor Off. And your foreign audience might be saying, "What's Liquor Off?" So since 2015 in Japan, it's been legal to buy and sell previously owned bottles of liquor that are unopened, which is really cool to me because I'm a drinker, so I enjoy finding these things. So you can find a great deal on a secondhand bottle of liquor at Liquor Off. So that was a big tangent.
So when you go into Hard Off, are you looking for something specific, or do you kind of feel like you just want to go and see what you can find?
You absolutely have to be in the mindset to just sort of be ready for whatever the store throws at you. Because it is a secondhand store, so they don't really carry like you can't go in expecting them to have something in particular. You just have to be ready to find. You have to be ready to be excited, I think, and you have to be ready to expect the unexpected, as the cliche goes.
Is there anything you haven't found that you hope to find at Hard Off?
Yeah, sure. I've got a wish list of things, some of which were inspired by other like Japanese shoppers that I follow on Twitter. There's one item that has eluded me for a long time, and this is another item that I didn't really know existed until maybe last year. I'm a big Square Enix fan,
Mhm.
and Square. I guess this is like a pre-order item for in the PS1 era. That if you pre-ordered both Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross on the PS1, they made a special set case that holds both of them, and it's called Chrono Memorial, and I'm still looking for a copy of that. Another item that I'm looking for, although I don't really expect it to show up at at Hard Off, is for the GameCube, and it was exclusive to it was for Metal Gear Solid, the Twin Snakes, and it came in the console package special edition that has it's a GameCube disc that has just the original Metal Gear game on it. I saw one a couple years ago, not at Hard Off. I saw it at Surugaya, which is another chain store, used video game chain store, and it was almost 10,000 yen, but that was actually a good price. But at the time, I was like, I'll wait and see if I can find it cheaper, and I haven't found it cheaper, so I'm kicking myself for not buying it then. I don't know. It could turn up at Hard Off. Who knows? We'll see.
I have a theory that Hard Offs in remote locations have better stock and prices than Hard Offs in the city. Am I right, or am I totally off base?
Absolutely. It's sort of unfortunate news for people who might be visiting Japan, although obviously Japan has not had any foreign visitors recently. We hope that returns. But a lot of visitors they will come to Tokyo and maybe they'll go to Akihabara and spend a day there. But your best bargains are going to be in the Inaka, in the countryside. So I'm up here in Hokkaido, and I try to visit basically all the medium sized cities that are within my reach, because I think those are the best picking grounds. The more urban you get, the more picked over it's going to be. So yeah, I totally agree with that with that theory.
Yes, I'm Tokyo based, so all the hard offs in Tokyo, they're fun to go to, but obviously the prices are much higher than like a very typical hard off you
Mm.
would find in like the countryside.
Yeah, I've got some Twitter friends in Tokyo, and they post things that they find, and the prices are okay, but they're not crazy cheap in my opinion.
I'm going to jump in and recommend a shop, at least in the Tokyo area. The best hard off I visited near Tokyo is Hard Off Ajiki, which is located in Sakayamachi, Chiba, which is fairly close to Narita. It's actually about an hour away from Tokyo, but doable if you live there. So, Alex, is there any specific hard off branch or location that you would recommend in Hokkaido?
Oh boy. There's a few in Sapporo. When I visit Sapporo, they're always like must visits to me. One, I'll give you three locations. One is the Fujino location in Sapporo, and that's in the southern part of Sapporo where I think they had the Winter Olympics there, maybe like the 1970s, because there's a bunch of like Olympic stuff still in the area.
Hmm.
And then the next one is the Nakanoshima location in Sapporo, and that one is pretty central. So even if you're staying in downtown Sapporo, you can get to that one pretty easily. It's just a few subway stops to the south. And then the last one I would recommend is the Miyanosawa location, which is a bit to the northwest. That one just like the junk section is always filled with goodies. I found great stuff. So in the 100 yen section, I have found things like Chrono Trigger for the PlayStation, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the PlayStation
Oh, wow.
2, in the 100 yen junk bin. I was like, really? In that store also, they're one of the few stores that gets hard off goods. So sometimes they'll make official like T-shirts, or recently they made their famous blue bins as sort of souvenirs that you can buy. And that's one of the few. I think that's the only store in Hokkaido that gets that merchandise.
So, you mentioned earlier that you are a hard off ambassador. So, what does that entail?
Good question. So, last year, the Hard Off company on Twitter did a contest where they asked people to basically tweet anything, tweet their memories or tweet their best finds and to use a certain hashtag, and that they would pick 100 winners in Japan. I was one of the people picked, and as far as I know, I'm the only foreigner. I don't think there are any other foreigners picked for this group. And then they sent me like an official printed membership card on plastic, which was
Wow.
really neat to get. And they made me agree to some things like promote the company, and also when I visit to not include like strangers' faces and photos, because that's the netiquette in Japan is you don't post photos of people that you don't have permission of. That was basically it.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good deal. I know some people, maybe not celebrities, but there are maybe some quasi minor celebrities that are hard off ambassadors. So, you're in good company.
Yeah, they picked some sort of minor celebrities. The big one for them is a guy named, I think is MCU is his
Yes.
name. And he's like a hip hop artist from a group called Kick the Can Crew, and he recorded like one of their in store like jingle songs, and I think he's a member too.
That leads into my final question. What are your thoughts on the hard off theme that plays in the store?
The instrumental one.
Anyone?
Yeah. So they've got the instrumental theme. Then, like as I said a minute ago, the MCU guy recorded like a vocal hard off theme, and they've got another one that they play on loop that I can't remember. Maybe a bit of trivia for you: the instrumental one is licensed music. It doesn't belong to them exclusively.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they've actually put out a few times, like they've asked YouTubers to be like, please don't use this music because it's not ours exclusively to use.
Oh,
Like we just license it, which is funny, but I don't think anyone has actually paid attention to this advice. Yeah, it's a well known theme, and I think everyone recognizes the corporation by it, but it's licensed music. It doesn't belong to them exclusively.
so if people want to find more from you or learn more about your hard off adventures, where can they find you?
So I'm mostly active on Twitter, where my handle is at Alex F. Kraus. And I also operate an eBay store where I sell some of my finds. And that eBay store is under the name Retro Dream. That's RETRO DREAM, and I've been selling on eBay for almost 20 years now, and I'm coming up on 15,000 feedback very soon, so that'll be a nice milestone. That'll be within the next couple weeks, I think. Come visit.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex.
Sure, my pleasure.